Hey guys, so my poison sparker is kind of a failed experiment, and this is not gonna be a build guide video. I'm probably just gonna be rambling most of the video. I want to, I guess, I explain a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to mostly test how the nerf golden rule is working now. So if you don't know, golden rule used to not have any limits. You could stack thousands of poison stacks on yourself. It would crash the game after like 2000 poison stacks. And now it has a limit of 100 poison stacks, and I feel like GG is sometimes watching my videos because I did a video in last league with the self-poisoning Blade Vortex Assassin, and I was breaking 4000% movement speed and like, I don't know, over 10,000% damage gain from the poison sextant mod, and I was farming tier 16s in just under a minute or maybe even like 30 seconds. But so basically I wanted to test that again, but I didn't want to go with the Blade Vortex, and I wanted to go with maybe lighting. So I thought, I haven't played Spark in ages, so maybe I could do Spark. So I started with Spark, and that kind of requires Volkur Guidance, which reduces the poison duration, which is not very good for poison stacking. So I thought I'm gonna do some kind of a hybrid. I'm gonna focus on both hit damage and poison damage, because we have a bit more tools to scale poison damage now with the Perfect Agony. It now works much better for poison scaling because you can stack crit multiplier and get poison damage better than before, and crit multiplier still can affect your does affect your initial hit damage. So I'm trying to scale both hit damage and poison damage. And while the build is not that bad, especially because Impulsa explodes and it does feel much better, I probably would not have played this build without Impulsa at all. The idea was to basically start poisoning enemies, ramp up Plague Bearer with those poisons, activate Plague Bearer, run through enemies, Plague Bearer kills them, Impulsa explodes them and poisons other enemies, ramping up Plague Bearer. But it turns out that Plague Bearer doesn't ramp up the damage, doesn't store the damage, doesn't incubate the damage while it is active. So that kind of failed, but you can still do it just fine. Just use Plague Bearer, and it's pretty fast to ramp it up. You just cast it like one enemy pack is enough to ramp up the Plague Bearer back to full. So just cast Sparks, ramp up Plague Bearer, activate, run through enemies again. So that does work, but for some reason it just didn't feel satisfying to play with this build. The Spark kind of feels awkward, and single target is pretty bad unless you are in a very small room. And no, Frost Wall and Glacial Hammer does not block the projectiles. However, Blighted towers were great frost, not really wall, but I guess like the Glacial Hammer Frost Wall kind of, that does seem to block my Spark projectiles, and that's bad if you are outside of it and the enemy is inside of it. So I had that happen a couple of times and I couldn't kill the enemy. I had to teleport inside next to enemy, and that was a bit scary. I am also using more Conquest, of course, to make myself unaffected by poison, and Golden Rule is not really needed if you don't use the poison sextant mods. And actually more of Conquest is not needed. However, I was probably for the first time ever, I was so lucky that I actually got a Helmet enchantment for the skill that I was using currently, and I got 40% increased spark damage enchantment, which also increases the poison damage. By the way, I am only on a 5-link Impulsa. It could have more damage. I don't have much life because I am missing a lot of life from the passive skill tree. At first I wanted to get the damage, and I got most of the damage. I'm still missing one jewel socket, and I'm missing I think only one power charge. I'm not going to be taking another power charge, so I could get a bit more damage. I did overlap already, it was fine, and I did try to do tier 12 maps. I believe it was also fine. It's just single target didn't feel good. Even with the Wither Totem, basically I drop Wither Totem, I activate Plague Bearer, I activate Valspark, and then I cast Spark as well, and also Orb of Storm, and all that combined barely makes it feel decent for single target. So Spark in the end is not really feeling very good. I'm not saying that it cannot be good, but it just, there are much better options, and maybe I just don't enjoy Spark as much as I thought I would, because I really love the MTX, the Spark MTX, one of the coolest MTX, but I just did not enjoy the build that much. And for that reason I did not want to invest into this build more, and this is only level 79. So what I'm saying is that I'm quitting this build and gonna be doing something more meta and something much more pleasant now, which is gonna be Pyroclast Mines with the probably Tremor Rod. So yeah, also for this build you could try using Blighting if you like. With Blighting it's much easier to stack the poison stacks, but it does less damage per poison, and projectile speed which you get from shadow area is also bad for single target. Blighting you want less projectile speed, and if you use slower projectiles then you are not getting poison damage from it. And by the way, I'm currently using, where is it? I'm currently using Spark linked with lesser poison, energy leech, elemental focus, and wild toxins. And of course I do have skitter bots to shock and chill enemies, because that's how Impulsor works with this. And I'm using lesser poison because I needed a bit more chance to poison. I could get more chance to poison on the passive skill tree, but then I would still need something else, and I don't want to use poison support gem because that's an overkill, and poison support gem doesn't actually increase the initial hit damage. So like I said, I wanted to focus on both hit damage and poison damage, and kind of that's the best combo I could come up with. I do have also aspect of the spider. I do have life on all of my items. I do have some cast speed, but cast speed can also be an issue, and it is pretty noticeable issue if you have no cast speed on your items at all, because Spark right from the start felt pretty slow, and I always wanted more cast speed. By the way, I also have Eldritch Battery because that kind of saves my solves my mana issues, and I can use Energy Leech, which is a big damage multiplier both for hit and for poison once I'm leeching, but Energy Leech isn't very good for Valspark. And actually Valspark in general, I don't think that it's worth it. I don't really like using Valspark. Could probably use Val Stormcall, but then again would require different setup. Could also do fire version of this using Consuming Dark or using Volkur gloves with the fire version. So yeah, the golden rule, you can still get fast, you can still become fast with just 100 poison stacks, and it does give 10% damage per poison on you, so you get 1000% increased generic damage if you get 100 stacks of poisons on yourself. But in the end you could do probably similar, well, not that fast, but without the golden rule, with the what is it called, Ice Fang Orbit Ring. That's a new ring. It gives chance to poison, it gives damage with poison, and you are chilled while you are poisoned, and non-chilled enemies you poison are chilled, and poison enemies you kill with hit shatter. So you basically, if you poison, you chill enemies and you shatter them. And if you use another ring, another unique ring which reverses the effect of chill, you basically get more action speed all the time on yourself. So you could maybe do that idea, but I wouldn't have enough life at all, and it would be even squishier build. But that's just an idea. And yeah, I don't want to drag this video too long. Basically I just wanted to give you a quick heads up and quick information about this kind of failed experiment and why I quit this build. I'm still not sure why exactly I did not like this build. It's not really the damage, but something about it just didn't feel right. And yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.